Alright, welcome back to Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. Last time we completed Part 1 Prologue, now it's going to be on to Part 1, Chapter 1. Yes, I am going to be rotating my saves. My worst fear is that something will get screwed up with the recording, and if that happens, I definitely want to make sure that I can replay a chapter if I have to, so we are going to be rotating our saves. Alright, so time for Part 1, Chapter 1, and we will begin with a map narration, I believe. Our first map narration.
Tellius, the year 648, early summer. The northeastern nation of Dain lost a bloody war with neighboring Crimea 3 years ago. Crimea, however, abdicated its right to rule Dain, and passed sovereignty of its former enemy to the powerful Benyan Empire. Dain's future is now subject to the whims of the Empire. Benyan's occupation forces have gathered all Dain men of fighting age and put them to work in labor camps. Their work is brutal and void of purpose, designed to break both body and spirit. The remaining population faces poverty and starvation as the fields lie fallow. A band of young heroes has escaped the Benyan army to form a group called the Dawn Brigade. Fighting for a free Dain, they alone have stood against Benyan's forces. They alone have shouldered the hopes of their nation. Among the company is a young girl named Micaiah, who is said to possess mystical powers. The people of Dain have come to know her as the Silver-Haired Maiden. They have come to think of her as the savior for whom they had been waiting. Benyan's forces have tried time and again to capture and silence the Dawn Brigade. However, Micaiah's ability to sense impending danger has thus far allowed the Dawn Brigade to evade the Empire.
So, yeah, that's the first map narration of this game, and it just kind of overviews where we are here. As we already kind of knew, we're in Dain, and it mentions Dain lost the war 3 years ago. That, of course, was the events of Path of Radiance, so it's been 3 years since the first game. And if you played Path of Radiance, you might recognize the name that Micaiah is mentioning here. Well, one of the names. How should we explain yesterday to Soth and Nolan? Yes, it is the same Soth who we met in Path of Radiance. So if you didn't play Path of Radiance, there was a point where Ike and Alincia had chartered Nasir's ship, and a young thief, a boy named Soth, had stowed away, and he was looking for someone that was like family to him. He was looking for Micaiah, as it turns out. Apparently they found each other again after the war. Yeah, you don't want to get spotted by the soldiers, but, you know. Yeah, they found their last hideout. That was the opening cutscene prior to the prologue. Yeah, and you know that map narration mentioned that most of Dain's men have been sent to labor camps, so yeah, Edward and Leonardo are literally children. They're like, probably teenagers, but they're kids. So yeah, they don't necessarily understand the ins and outs of everything. And yeah, Edward brings up something interesting, that it's Begnion and not Crimea that's ruling over Dain. Even though we, played as Crimea and won in the last game. Ooh, who is this? Well, either Soth or Nolan said that. We'll never know who it was. And yeah, there's Soth. He's certainly grown up since the last game. Soth is the one on the right with the green hair. The right of the left side of... You know what I mean. Nolan's on the far left. So yeah, we have met the full Dawn Brigade, 5 members. We already got to play as Micaiah, Edward, and Leonardo, and now we've met Nolan and Soth, the remaining 2 members. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. Ah, yes. Is there something we should know? Well, actually... And, cut so that they don't have to recap the events that we already know about from that first chapter. You had a run-in with bandits. I don't know why, but this line reminds me of the Captain America thing. So you got detention. So you had a run-in with bandits. It was careless, but like Leonardo said, we had to save Nico and the townsfolk. Okay, this is an interesting detail here, and I'm glad that I didn't demo Sacrifice in that prologue. See, even if you don't use Sacrifice, as I didn't, she still says that she did heal someone with Sacrifice, so I always thought that it was like, oh, cool gameplay and story integration that she says she healed, Edward with Sacrifice, but, now I realize that she actually says that regardless, so, and I've proven that in this playthrough. Yep, more blatant exposition there. And Soth's #1 priority is keeping Micaiah safe. Yeah, that's a good point. They do need to leave. I will mention... Okay, there's a couple of weird things about Soth in this game. Okay, so for one, I don't know why, he's wearing a shirt that's, 4 sizes too small. I don't understand that. That's just his thing, I guess. And, yeah, the other weird thing, we'll get into it more, but Micaiah and Soth have a very weird relationship. And, it's actually a bit problematic. But we'll talk about that more as we learn more about these characters. An alley in Navassa. Oh, there's Nolan's battle model. Or a map model, I should say. Well, looks like we can't avoid a fight with the Begnayon soldiers this time. Oh, we don't get to use Soth. So, evidently, Soth must be, elsewhere. And he'll have to just catch up with us, I guess? Yeah, and Nolan does a nice job here of kind of outlining the strategy that you should use for this map. Yeah, lead the way with Nolan. He is by far your best tank out of these 4 units. He's really the only one that can be considered a tank. Edward later on can kind of become a dodge tank if you level him, but he has pretty low HP and defense at this point, so Nolan's the only one who's going to be able to absorb a few hits, and you definitely don't want Micaiah taking hits. And Leonardo's an archer, so you want him on the back lines anyway. So, And then he also says this, remember to keep your distance from the enemy. And then he says specifically to Edward, you bring up the rear. You're still new to fighting. And, yeah, he is. You know, story-wise, he's new to fighting. He did get a level up in that first chapter for us, but, yeah, as I was saying, he's pretty fragile at this point, so you have to be a little careful. Okay. And good advice, just focus on surviving the attacks, keep moving toward the objective. Alright. And with that, we begin Part 1, Chapter 1. So I'm going to go ahead and actually battle save here, I'm going to do essentially a practice run of the chapter, and then I'll cut the video. Okay, so I'm back. I've done a practice run of the chapter. Okay, so before I can actually get into the chapter, I should show something that I didn't really do last time. I didn't really talk about the starting inventories of these characters, so Micaiah starts out with her light tome and an herb, which is a healing item that heals 10 HP. Edward starts with his iron sword and then a vulnerary, which heals 20 HP, and he picked up this herb from a bandit that he killed in that first chapter. And then Leonardo also starts with an herb as well as his iron bow, and he actually starts with a Draco shield in his inventory, which is a defense-boosting item. For the stat-boosting items in this game, I'm actually going to mostly hoard them until the end of the game. There's a couple of exceptions to this, but the main reason is that I'm in this pretty limited with who my endgame party is going to be, and if characters get bad levels, I want to be able to try to mitigate some of that at the end with these stat boosters, so that's what I'm saving them for. Hopefully I don't really need them, and I can just give them to, you know, other characters who join late and that kind of thing that are coming with me. I am talking about the dragons. Anyway, speaking of my endgame team, we're joined now by Nolan, who starts with a vulnerary of his own, and he actually starts with a steel axe. All the others, so, well, Edward and Leonardo, that is, start with iron weapons, and even looking around the map, most of these enemies actually have bronze weapons, so Nolan is starting out with just a stronger weapon type than most enemies here. The boss does have a steel sword on this chapter. He's also already a level 9 fighter. So he's considerably stronger than the enemies that we're facing at this point, which is good. We really need a strong unit. And Nolan, on this playthrough, I am planning on bringing him to endgame. Like I said, I can kind of reveal as we go along and meet these characters who's going to be on my endgame team. Micaiah is going to be forced to endgame, so obviously I'll be bringing her, and she will use the SS Light Magic Tome when we get it. There is an SS Axe, and I would like for Nolan to wield the SS Axe. So, that is the plan, unless he gets horribly RNG screwed and I have to drop him for somebody else. But there are more broken axe users in the game than Nolan, namely Har. I just don't want to do that for this playthrough. I feel like abusing Har is a little bit unfair. Okay. Now, as for this chapter, so it is an escape chapter. We just have to get Micaiah to the sanctuary squares. I've never noticed that they're called that, but just these escape points. So we have to kill at least one of these two enemies that's standing on the escape point, and then Micaiah has to run. Most of the time in Fire Emblem, if you have the other units escape first, they're worth bonus XP. That's actually not the case in this chapter or in Radiant Dawn at all, so we just... Actually, I take that back. It is the case in a later chapter of Radiant Dawn, but not this one. So, we just need Micaiah to escape to end the map. You'll notice the boss's steel sword there is, the text is red. That means it's a droppable item, so if we kill him, we will get the steel sword. It'll appear in whoever's inventory kills the boss. Okay. two more things to mention are the two visit tiles here. So we can visit this church with somebody, and we can visit this house over here for an item. It's easy to miss this house, so try not to do that. And unfortunately, Leonardo, you are the person to go visit the house, because you are the furthest back and the closest to the house. Ah, well thanks, grandmother. We got another vulnerary. Yeah, this game gives you a lot of healing items. Do not be afraid to use them. Yeah, and especially because we don't have a healer yet. Okay, sorry about the abrupt cut there. So, I'm cutting back to the point where I had just visited the house with Leonardo. So, as it turns out, I managed to get Edward killed in my run of this chapter. He got a very unlucky crit by the boss. I watched back the video, it was a 3% crit chance. So, yeah, Edward got critted by the boss. This time I will battle save before I attack the boss. I learned my lesson. So, I'm starting the chapter over. And I just went to the point where I had visited the house here. So, first things first, let's bring Nolan up and have him attack the javelin. So Nolan, as I mentioned, is pretty tanky. He definitely can take hits from the javelin and multiple axe users, so he'll be fine here. Okay. And the javelin is a 1 to 2 range lance, so the big thing is don't put Edward right here next to Nolan. If you put him here, he'll get attacked by the javelin and the axe, and that could kill him. So we're going to have him stay back, out of range of the javelin, and then we'll bring up Micaiah. I don't know, I kind of like this boss's portrait. I mean, obviously he's generically evil, but I don't know, it's kind of cool anyway. Alright, so Nolan, good dodge. That time you got hit. Yeah, Nolan in this chapter is really good at setting up kills for your other units. So like those two fighters that he weakened there, we'll be able to pick off their other characters. Nolan himself, well, he's gonna need to heal. Yeah. And he's gonna have to stay where he is, because right now he's plugging 2 gaps and keeping 2 different units away from Micaiah, so... first of all, let's go ahead and bring Leonardo back around. He'll rejoin the party. Nolan's gonna have to heal. Now, you could use Sacrifice with Micaiah here. She doesn't have that much HP. In this case, it wouldn't even bring Nolan back up to full health, so I'm just going to go ahead and have Nolan use a vulnerary. In my failed run of this chapter, I actually did Sacrifice for him here because he had actually dodged one more attack than he did in this playthrough, so he had a little more HP and I was able to get him up to full. So Edward is going to take out this one. Let's get a good level up here, Edward. Okay, strength and speed, can't really complain about that. And let's see what Micaiah gets for a level. Both Micaiah and Edward were very close to leveling up at the end of the prologue, so... HP luck, res, not great. And there's another kill set up for somebody else. And there's another kill set up for somebody else. And yeah, I'm thinking that this fighter up here just doesn't move because both in the last run of this chapter and this one, he's in range to come up and attack Nolan, but he didn't, so seems as though he just doesn't move. So, even with that being the case, though, Well, you know what? Nolan can... Yeah. Okay. So, the church, I happen to know that the item that you get from this is a hand axe, which is a 1 to 2 range axe for Nolan. So, I'd like to be able to visit that with Nolan. The problem is, I don't want Edward to have to plug this gap here because he'll get attacked by the lance. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to have Leonardo come take out this guy. Okay. Edward is going to take out the fighter. Now, if that other fighter up there does decide to move, I'm fine with one fighter attacking Edward. And then Nolan is going to go plug this gap. And again, I'm just going to heal him. Again, don't be afraid to use your healing items, especially early in this game, but really throughout. They give you a ton. And so Nolan should be able to tank these attacks just fine, and even if this fighter decides to go for him too, he'll be fine. And now with Micaiah, I'm going to go ahead and grab that hand axe. I don't know, generic man, you look like you're strong enough to wield that axe. I feel like you could probably make some good use of it, but now you're just like, no, here, Micaiah, you're weak and helpless, but go take this axe to your friend who's rampaging down the street right now with an axe, and he might be able to make use of this one. Okay, so Archer goes for Nolan, no surprise there. And yeah, that fighter up there still does not move, so... Alright, now this is an interesting spot to be in. Oh, Leonardo is just a little too far back. Yeah... It would have been nice to move him up to here on the previous turn when I sniped this guy, but... Okay. So, what's your speed like? Your speed is 8. Micaiah's is 7. Okay, so you don't double her. What's your attack? 13, and Micaiah's defense is 2, so you would do 11. Okay, Micaiah could survive a hit from this, so... Oh, wait, what am I thinking? I don't have to put Micaiah in range of that. Okay, so no, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have Edward go and attack here. And, oh, he's just 1 point of damage off of killing, but that's okay. So, okay, he would take 9 damage. If he gets hit twice, that's 18, and if he gets hit by the archer, that's a problem. Okay, yeah... I might have to play this a little bit cautiously. So, my worry is that if Edward gets hit twice by this fighter, and then by the archer, he'll die. What I want to do is have Micaiah take out this soldier. Nolan can step up and weaken the archer. But that could potentially put Edward in danger if I do that. And the problem is, if Edward attacks and gets hit on the counterattack, and then I try to have Micaiah sacrifice, the problem is then Micaiah would be in range of the bow, because after the soldier kills himself on Nolan, the archer can move over and kill Micaiah. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a tight spot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put Edward up here, and I'm just not going to attack. I'm just going to let him counterattack, and then we'll be able to do this. And then Nolan step up and attack here. Okay, and now Micaiah is out of range of that archer. I guess I'll go ahead and bring Leonardo up. If the archer wants to kill himself on Leonardo, fine, but he's probably going to go for Edward or Nolan. I hope he goes for Edward, because that'll make him easier to kill if he's standing right where he is instead of if he backs up. Okay, good. He did go for Edward. That makes things simpler for me. Okay, and that is going to be a kill for somebody else, too. Good dodge, Edward. Okay, and you left him on 1 HP, but we knew that was going to happen anyway. Okay. And good, Edward leveled up his sword rank, so he's at C now, which means he'll be able to use that steel sword when the boss drops it. Oh, one other thing I'll mention, the bonus XP requirement for turns here is 7, so we do have to kind of get moving here, but we're still going to be in plenty of time. Okay. Now, the problem... Leonardo, what's your movement? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, you can easily get around here. Okay, so we're gonna have... Edward's gonna have to just take out this guy. I kind of want to heal him, but I don't think I have time. So we're gonna go ahead and hit this guy. Okay, and also these guys here guarding the escape points, the boss and his lackey here, they don't move because they are standing on the escape points, so you don't have to worry about them charging you. They follow the Galdoa school of boss strategies. That is a joke that you will understand if you've played this game before, and if you haven't, you will understand it much later in the game. And I promise you, if you stick with me, it will not be worth it. Anyway, so what we're going to do next is I'm going to have Micaiah step up here, and we're going to trade that hand axe over to Nolan. And then Micaiah can trade and then attack in the same turn. The only thing you can't do is you can't move after you trade. So like if I try to go back, I can't. That's fine though. And then Micaiah's going to take out the fighter. Okay, then Leonardo is going to come around and take out the archer. Done. Alright, and now Nolan, what I like to do is bring him up here, equip that hand axe, and then heal up. And this way he'll be able to counterattack the fighter's hand axe when he attacks, right here. Okay, good. So now he's almost dead. Now, Micaiah, can you actually get... Yeah, you're just able to get up there and attack the boss. Okay, this is actually a much better setup than what I had on my failed attempt. I had to mess around a little bit with where my units were placed. So, the bottom line is, Micaiah, Edward, and Leonardo can take down this boss without Nolan's help, assuming Edward does not get critted like he did on my last attempt. So, Nolan is good to just take down this guy. So we're going to do that. Okay. Skill, luck, res. Nah, not great. Would have liked some strength and defense on you. Okay, and Micaiah can only get up to here, so Leonardo will have to attack from that little corner there. That's fine. Okay, Leonardo. Okay, and this time I think I got lucky enough with my level ups in this chapter that Edward... Oh no, he is still 1 HP short. Okay, so yeah, last time it was a 3% crit. I think Edward must have gained luck on his level up in this run. He didn't last time, so it was a 3% crit. But yeah, he got killed by that. He does still, even damaged here, have just enough HP to survive a hit, provided he doesn't get crit by the boss here. So this time I'm going to be smart and actually battle save here before I attack him. I know it's a little cowardly, but I already got burned by this once tonight. Alright, second chapter in a row, Edward is going to finish with 1 HP. And with a Wrath crit on the boss. Edward, you're developing a pattern here, buddy. Alright, let's get a good level here. That is some lag, holy cow. Okay, that was a pretty good level. I would have liked speed, but that's okay. Okay, and it is now turn 7, so this is our last chance to escape with maximum bonus XP. And yeah, I do apologize for the lag that sometimes comes up with this. Dolphin, I don't know. There are certain chapters that tend to give my computer problems. It might just be a limitation of my computer and the emulator, but yeah, it is pretty unavoidable for me, so I do apologize when that happens. But yeah, we are done here with this chapter. There are some reinforcements that'll spawn here and at the start later if you take too long here, but they're not really a problem, and it's not worth giving up the bonus XP reward to fight them. Normally, if I had a turn to spare here, I would sacrifice for somebody with Micaiah to get her a little XP and get her over the edge of a level up, but if I do that, I can't end the chapter, so I am going to go ahead and have Micaiah end it. Oh god, it's lagging really terribly again. I'm sorry about that. And again, as I mentioned, you don't actually get any extra for having Edward, Leonardo, and Nolan escape first, so we're just going to go ahead and end the chapter. We did it! We didn't get Edward killed this time. Oh, apparently we joined up with Soth, so he's alright. I mean, he is a thief, so he's pretty good at sneaking around. Hey, there's Nico. Love that line. Moldy onions, where'd they go? I don't know why I said that like a pirate, but it still fits somehow. Well, thanks, grandfather. Hey, I met grandmother in the village. She gave Leonardo a vulnerary. Oh, also, one thing that... Okay, I know I promised I wouldn't talk about this, but one thing that does bother me with the portraits in this game is that they were a little lazy with mirroring them, because, like, Micaiah's battle model always has Yune on the left shoulder in her map model. That's why you can't see it right now, because she's facing a little bit to her left. But her portrait still has Yune on the right shoulder, and when her portrait is on the right side of the text box, Yune will be on the left shoulder. That sort of thing bothers me. There's another character who we'll see later who has eyes that are different colors, and they switch when he is facing the opposite direction, and that's annoying to me. Anyway, continuing. Goddess protect the Dawn Brigade. Interestingly, only Micaiah and Soth are running back. Apparently the other three are long gone. Wow. That is brutal. Oh, poor Nico. If you're upset, blame it on the Dawn Brigade. You weakling man who can't even wield a hand axe. I never understood the step away from the child thing. Like, what harm is she gonna do? Like, they're just so generically evil and incompetent. It's... Anyway. And now, we're about to witness two miracles. One is that she heals Nico's injury. And two is that how quickly Nico managed to stand up. He just basically reverse fell down. It's like they just played the same animation backwards. We've seen two miracles today, Grandfather. That was really impressive how that boy stood up. Only the silver-haired maiden possesses sacrifice, apparently. Okay. And, yep. That's smart. Pick her up and run. Oh, the crowd's gonna stop him again. Okay, but aren't they just going to kill Nico again? How is this going to turn out any differently? You'll end up like that kid, able to do cool flips and stuff, I presume. Uh-oh. So... Okay. Micaiah foresaw that something terrible would happen, which was Nico getting killed, and so she turned around to go save him. And as a result, she got 3 people killed. Because Jared would have had no reason to kill those 3 guys if Micaiah hadn't turned back and saved Nico. Was it worth it? Ultimately, with his ability to do cool flips and stuff now, I feel like it was worth the lives of those 3 random villagers. 100%. I support Micaiah in that decision. I don't agree with most of the things that she does, and I will make that very clear throughout the game, but I think that sacrificing those 3 guys so that Nico could do cool flips and stuff, absolutely worth it. Why am I always stuck leading the buffoons? Maybe some introspection is needed here, Jared. Why do they always give you those assignments? Maybe it's because they see you as a leader of buffoons. So there's Navasa, now in the distance. And Micaiah is okay. That's not why you told her not to use sacrifice. Come on, Soth. You told her not to use sacrifice because it would get you guys found out, not because it almost can kill her. Yep, we'll be back. We're a band of heroes, after all. We will retake our home. Yeah, you have a way of getting what you want. Now, okay, I'm gonna jump a little ahead here. I'm not spoiling anything important, because we're gonna find out in the next couple chapters, but like... Okay, Soth is very obviously in love with Micaiah, and it's pretty weird. Like, Micaiah is actually quite a bit older than Soth, so you've kind of got a weird grooming situation going here, and yeah, some of this dialogue, like, it seems innocent enough until you kind of think about it, and, like, this is an example. You have a way of getting what you want, because you're always there to help me get it, Soth. It's... She's very manipulative of Soth, I find, if you really think about it. And we'll get into more examples, but just, like, keep in the back of your mind as we go through this story that, like, Micaiah is extremely manipulative. She's not the hero that the game makes her out to be, in my opinion. She's a flawed person. Okay, yep, and we got the full turn bonus, a whole 40 bonus XP. Great. Yeah, we don't get to spend that yet, but we will. We will. Alright, and that is the save screen. So that is the end of Part 1, Chapter 1. So thank you for watching One Brain Ops, and I will see you next time.